6, do you know where your gun is? The Transportation Security Administration is urging flyers to double check your carry-on bag before you head to the airport.
For the second week in a row, the TSA's found a record number of firearms at security checkpoints. So far this year, police have confiscated nearly 2,000 guns. That's up by about 400 from this time last year. 7 News reporter Diane Lee explains what could happen to you and your gun and your wallet, even if it's just an honest mistake.
3 guns confiscated in the last 2 weeks alone, and that's just at Greenville International Airport. It's the reason why you'll see signs like this and hear stories like what happened to Harris Darver's friend.
The fine was shocking because I think it was a pretty large fine. He also had all of the costs associated with missing his flight. They detained him for however many hours.
Not to mention security lines halted as the TSA waits for police to arrive. And the fine large because there's 2 of them, one from law enforcement and the other from the TSA.
And that can go up to a maximum of $11,000 on the first offense.
How likely is it that TSA would issue that for a passenger that forgets to take a gun out of a bag?
Regardless of the excuse we get, we almost always issue a civil penalty to those folks that bring firearms to the checkpoint.
Can people get their gun back?
If their only charge is violating rules and regulations of the airport, that carries a $474 fine. $274 of that is court costs. The other $200 is an actual airport fine. If they are charged with that, once they pay that fine, they can write a letter to our chief of police and get their gun returned to them.
The only way to get your gun safely on the plane is to check it. And the TSA says it must be unloaded in a locked hard case and you must declare it at the ticket counter.
When the TSA does catch a gun in a bag, the most common excuse, I forgot.
Hopefully I'm smart enough not to do that.
Still, with a 20% uptick last year and numbers so far this year that point to an even bigger surge, the TSA says people who pack heat must be warned not to pack it on their carry-on. In Greer, Diane Lee, 7 News.
We checked with all the regional airports and found out that GSP has had 10 guns confiscated this year so far. 13 were seized all of last year. Charlotte has had 42, Atlanta 110 so far this year. We have a link to the TSA instructions you should follow if you want to check a gun. Look for this story on WSPA.com.